Hello everybody, welcome to Rewrite Your Reality with Reese. I am your host, and today I'm just gonna go through an explanation of what reality, ego, and you actually are in comparison, because that's how we experience it, right? And comparing one another to each and everything. So let's just start with God. What is that? God is an all being, not just knowing of, it is an all being of reality. You see, God is an infinite intelligence, but it doesn't necessarily matter how intelligent we may think that thing, we may think God is, because our thoughts about God are God itself. We are basically thinking about ourselves, right? We are contemplating a certain way in which God can be. It is as an experience, because whatever we are experiencing, whatever we are saying, whatever we are knowing, whatever we are contemplating, it is a contemplation of only one thing. Because there is only one thing that exists. It exists in an infinite number of ways. Even with me referring to it, I'm still referring to myself as God, as awareness, in one of those ways. So no matter what it is we are experiencing, whether we are complaining about the traffic, we are complaining as God about God being traffic. We are in love with a specific person. We are being in love as God with another variation of God, experiencing love. That's what it is. That's all God is itself. So this infinite intelligence has created a an infinite number of ways of expressing itself as something, an idea, an object, an event, a circumstance, a thought, a feeling, everything. We couldn't contemplate something that is not God, which is where this idea comes from, where whatever you cannot contemplate does not exist. But it does not mean because you have not contemplated it, it doesn't exist. Your knowing of an experience is implication that it does actually exist. So you never need to worry about what doesn't exist, because if you know the thing that you are knowing, it does. So non-existence is pointless. To even contemplate it, because that non-existence doesn't actually exist. You are God knowing yourself, right? That's God, that's source. Now where do you and your ego come into play? You are that same God, that same creator. As God, as infinity, a specialized experience of your point of view exists as part of that infinity. Each of us makes up part of that infinity, while never being less than infinity ourselves. We're just experiencing infinity from a certain viewpoint. Think about it like this. Imagine a ship or something, like a big freighter, and there's a lot of portholes. You are one of the portholes looking into the ship, but you are no less than any other porthole looking into the ship. And when you're changing realities, all you're doing is shifting your focus to another point of the same ship of infinity. That's why you are never actually interfering with anybody, because that experience simply already exists. You're basically just, another way, you're changing movie theaters. There might be there might be a singular actor in two different roles, in two different screens, and all you are doing is changing from one screen to another. You're not changing that actor as the character he's being. You're changing the room where you are seeing a different version of that actor as a character, which is what you are doing in every single moment. You are changing your viewpoint by an assumption, seeing everybody in your life as that version of them who aligns with your current assumption of who you say you are. That's who you are. You are the active creator of your experiencing of reality. See, God is not necessarily active. God is just being everything at the same time. Greater awareness. It knows it is just everything. It knows as that everything. It's also being you, experiencing itself as that everything. It's more like, you can kind of see it as God is inactive infinity and you are actively being infinity. Kind of fun, right? So I like that actually. Inactive and active infinity is cute. Yeah, I'm actually going to unpack that again at some point. So, as active infinity, what can you actively be aware of? What can you focus on? What can your attention be on and off, right? Well, as active infinity, you must contain your own paradox. Infinity has to contain everything. It's infinity, right? It can't leave out something. So what did God actually create? It created the context of itself not being infinity. That's where the ego comes in. We call it ego. We call it ego thoughts because they are more based in thinking and believing that we are this 3D finite self. When we have those thoughts about being a 3D finite self, we have to have those thoughts, otherwise we couldn't actually be a 3D finite self. We would only ever just be the experiencing of God, and ironically would not be able to experience being God, because part of being the experiencing of God is to not experience yourself as God. That's the whole point. How else would you experience it, right? You need context. Your ego is basically a contextual, contrasting thought to who you are, but as infinity, you contain all of it. Think about it like this. If Neville Goddard's ladder example, if you're unfamiliar, Neville Goddard said to, or has the example, climbing a ladder. You imagine yourself with the intention climbing a ladder. You feel the rungs, you feel your feet on each one, you climb up. At some point in your unfolding of reality, you'll find yourself climbing up a ladder. Basically to show you that you are reality itself, that your thoughts about climbing the ladder don't matter, as long as you, as imagination, have set the intention that this is who you are now. A version of yourself climbing that ladder. That's what unfolds. I do like that example because it does show you that there's nothing physically you can do to go and climb a ladder on your own. So you wonder about how. Yeah, there is no how. There's only who. I am the version of myself who experienced climbing the ladder. I am the version of myself who experienced climbing or doing whatever it is I did in my imagination. That's who I am now. So, climbing the ladder. Where's the ego part play? Well, you have to start at the bottom of the ladder. We think ourselves as human, that human perspective, so we're at the bottom of the ladder. Climbing the ladder, you have to climb the ladder. From a God perspective, we're always going to see ourselves having completed the fulfillment of whatever it is we desire, because that fulfillment's already there. So as God, you identify as God and as fulfillment, so you're always going to go to the end of what you want, not trying to figure out what you want. Because remember, no matter what you are imagining, it is an end. But when you imagine the absolute end of what you desire, that is from recognizing who you truly are, the creator, and you must have created everything completely. So you can just go straight to your end, embody the version of yourself who is in that end, and then everything unfolds as per what you have imagined yourself to be, because that's who you are now. So the ego will only accept or see yourself as how you would like to see it, as that ego, or accepts itself to see as that ego, which is at the bottom of the ladder, or trying to climb the ladder, or trying to find the ladder, trying to work out how you're going to climb a ladder naturally, trying to, you can see where I'm going with this, right? Basically, the ego does that. The ego does the how. The ego imagines the how. The ego tries to work out the how. So when you know your ego is always doing that, and trust me when I say, I love this Bible verse, which is, I can't remember how it goes exactly. It just popped in now. The one where, I can't remember who it was, but he's in the lion pit and they are surrounding him, and that lion pit feels as if it's, that lion pit is a representation of your thoughts, which are basically feeling as if they eat you alive. I'm just going to segue this into, how many times do I forgive? Which is one of Jesus' disciples asking, I think it was Matthew. Matthew asked him about Simon, how many times do I forgive? And Jesus said 7 times 70. Honestly, that's a bit of a small number, because the amount of times you think about how during the day, I would have said 70 times 7,000 would be more accurate. But yes, forgive yourself every single time. Not every single time, but I mean, like, forgive yourself continuously for having those ego thoughts, because any single moment you identify with them, you believe you're not God. So you can consciously leave them there, even though it feels like they might be eating you alive sometimes. But that's the ego. The ego is just a thought system based in the current moment that you are the 3D self, that what I'm imagining myself to be can't be because of something. I have to work it out. I have to figure it out. I have to go down this way. I have to work out how other people did and follow in their footsteps, or have something similar, something I must be doing, something that they talked about in an interview that helps me get there. But it's not true. It can't be true, because remember, you are the person interviewed for your life and how you got there. So however you explain it doesn't really matter. That's what the ego is. It doesn't do anything. It's the same source energy, the same images from source as God, but it's just a different viewpoint. It's the viewpoint of not being God. And when you have that viewpoint of knowing yourself as God, when you accept that I actually am God, who you identify with is the version of you having already climbed the ladder and is at the top. Putting this in terms of your dream life, you are already the version of yourself having fully lived every life, including what you currently assume is your dream life. And when I say currently assume that is your dream life, I mean like as the choice that you are currently making. You have the free will to change it in any given moment. Up to you, not up to me. I'm saying not that you have to at all, because any life that you are picking is your dream life. So I'm saying whatever you are picking is your dream life currently. That's all. So that's the difference between your ego and your awareness. Your ego is nothing more than a thought system within your awareness that you think is real and separate from the real you. But it couldn't be separate, otherwise you wouldn't be able to even have any images that refer to anything whatsoever. It's all you. Whew. Okay, cool. That was amazing. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for the liking, sharing, subscribing, following, and questions as well. Much love to you guys. Thank you for following the TikTok page, growing every day, Facebook page, growing equally every day. That being said, I'll see you all on the next one. Much love, much light, and have a wonderful day. Bye.